Hello, and welcome to week 4, Rest and Stretch. Last week, what we had covered is the pelvis health and how it's really important, how the pelvis is like the CEO of our body, and it dictates our health to the rest of our body, including messages to our organs. The topic for tonight is how our pelvic floor is related to shoulder tension and basically how to get shoulder tension out to stop putting unnecessary pressure on our pelvis, our organs, and our body. And shoulder tightness is kind of uncomfortable in general. Why is it important? No one wants to have to deal with a pelvic floor disorder like sneeze, pee, period pains, uh, sex organ problems. Like no one wants to deal with that. So that's a very big thing that can be quite important. As I mentioned, shoulder tension. I remember I used to have the worst shoulder tension. It's so nice to be free of it. And then our breath. When we have really tight shoulders, it can affect the quality of our breathing, which will affect how we feel and our mental health. So, taking care of our shoulders and getting tension out will help with your breathing and your lungs. So you may remember from last few sessions that squatting is really cool, and squatting, there's a lot of health benefits. At the end of this session, you're going to know how to get shoulder tension out of your body, how you might be moving around shoulder tension, which is making it sort of stick in you, and how to get pressure off of our pelvic floor so that we can breathe easier and just feel better in general. So, why do people struggle with this? Pelvic floor issues is really embarrassing, and people don't talk about it. And then when they do talk about it with someone, it's usually the dentist, or not the dentist, the doctor, the dentist. Usually, you go to the doctor when you have problems with your pelvis, and they usually only can prescribe pills or surgery. They don't know a lot about exercising. So that's how I know about this with my story. So I learned a lot about exercising. I learned a lot about the body. And now I teach something known as proper muscle care. So just like taking care of a house plant, if you know it needs sunshine and water, the house plant will do good. So all our muscles are like that. So our pelvic floor and the muscles that hold our organs up, those are muscles, just like a house plant. If we take care of it, they'll thrive. If we neglect it, we're probably going to have problems. So thank you. And in tonight's class, what we're going to need is a chair. If you have just a kitchen chair, a random chair, you can use the wall. I'll show you how to do it on the floor if you have nothing. And we will need a yoga bolster. If you don't have a yoga bolster, roll up a blanket. You can use a fairly big towel or lots of pillows. Just get lots of pillows and pile them up. We're going to start in a comfortable seat. So welcome. It's lovely to have everyone out tonight. And I'm going to invite you to come into your space, getting your chair and your bolster, and finding a comfortable seat. So I'm going to come up onto the bolster, and I enjoy having my legs interlaced and just resting my hands down on my hips, my legs. Sitting up tall on our sit bones, ramping our head back over the shoulders. Let's inhale, reach the arms out and up to the ceiling. Palms of the hands will come together down in front of your heart. Eyes may close. Breathe deep into your belly. Let's just take a few more nice, slow, centering breaths, noticing how you're feeling. One more slow breath into the pit of the belly. And then gently opening your eyes. Welcome, resting your hands down. Okay, the first exercise will be how to strengthen our lungs. It's almost like doing push-ups with your lungs, and it promotes better bone density in our ribs and better bone density in our spine. So I'm going to invite you to notice what your shoulder girdle wants to do. So what your shoulders want to do. We're going to take the smiley face of our hand, And place it on the side of your rib. So if you can scoop your thumb around the back, do that. If you have osteoarthritis in your hands, you can always just place the heel of your hands on the side of your body. Come down your ribs and find the small of the ribs, so the end of the ribs, and trying to keep your shoulders stable and down. Breathe and expand your ribs out into your hands. Notice if your whole shoulder girdle wants to lift. So I'll show you the difference. Lifting shoulder girdles like this. You want to keep the shoulders down and relaxed, and then breathe, pressing the ribs out into your hands. We're articulating every rib. Let's do one more slow breath in. And then letting it go. Every single rib is on a joint on your spine. It's actually two joints per rib, and the ribs can reach out like this, but the ribs also can rotate. And so often we might breathe up here, and maybe the shoulders are lifting a lot, which can cause a bunch of tears and stress in the upper body. So when we take that deep breath in right now and exhale, we want to let the shoulders stay relaxed and try to get into the habit of expanding the ribs out. If you were doing this and it's really easy, that's when you're going to want to notice your thumbs and the ribs on the back. Can you expand your ribs out to press into your thumbs behind you? Let's take one more breath in. So all the little muscles around the ribs, the intercostals, they're all getting like a big pull, and it is helping them strengthen, and it pulls osteoblasts into the ribs, making our ribs really strong. Now, with our shoulders, oftentimes what happens is we want to move our arms, we want to stretch our body, we want to strengthen our body, and the shoulder joint moves. It's also known as displacing the shoulder joint. So when we were breathing and the whole joint lifted up, that's displacing it. So it's kind of moving around tension and keeping the tension there. Tonight, we just want to get the tension out and like away, away, away. So I'm going to invite you to reach your left hand across your body and find your right shoulder. So we reach across the chest and find the right shoulder. And keeping the shoulder stable, inhale the right arm out and start to move the arm in the shoulder, but keep the joint down and stable. You might notice, how far can I lift up the humerus arm bone in the actual joint before the shoulder starts to float up like an earring. So we see, and now if you have muscles or lots of skin, it will feel like it's coming up a little bit. And that's okay if it's a little bit. If you're not sure, you can lift the whole joint, drop the whole joint, and then you know for sure you're actually in the shoulder joint versus lifting and displacing the shoulder. So we do inhale up, exhale down. Let's switch sides. So often, sometimes one side will be easier than the other side. We reach the left arm out, inhale to lift up, moving the humerus, trying to keep that shoulder really, really still, and letting it come down. So we are detoxing the lymphatic system around the shoulders, deep in the joint. We are increasing and improving our shoulder mobility by getting really deep in that shoulder joint. We're also discovering how keeping the shoulders still and only moving the arm bone, we may have a movement habit of lifting up the shoulder like an earring. Okay, and then we're going to try to bring our arms up and forward. So oftentimes what happens is the spine bends. And if you see, if I keep my shoulder really still, it can look like I'm lifting my arm, but I'm actually just moving my spine. And so we want to keep the spine still and move the arm in the shoulder. So I'm going to invite you, you can try with both arms. We're going to reach the arms forwards. We'll keep the ribs down, keep the spine still. Inhale the arms up. How high can you get them before the spine has to come? And rest the arms down. We'll do a breathing exhale or breathing exercise for the nervous system. Eyes can be open or closed. Inhale to reach the arms up for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale up. And exhaling down. So in the upper body, we want to move the arm in the shoulder, stabilizing the shoulder, which is going to increase oxygen in the upper body. And oxygen will reduce pain and it will reduce our risk of cancer in the upper body. So we really want to push a lot of oxygen up in there so that the tissues can stay healthy and we can reduce tension in our shoulders. Coming to our chair, we're going to stretch our thoracic cavity and our shoulders. And that thing we were just learning about the shoulders wanting to displace or the spine wanting to move, when we're doing this exercise, we want to stabilize the spine and let your shoulders stay stable so that we can change the pressures in the thoracic cavity so that we can get the tension out. So if you come to your chair and you place your hands on your chair, and we can be in kneeling. Ideally, the hands are wide. You can get your hands to the edges of your chair. And walking back away from the chair, slowly letting your head start to drop down between your arms towards the floor. Now, if you feel very vulnerable or uncomfortable, you can always have your elbows bent. You can really have all of your arms on the chair and rest your forehead on the chair and start to let your chest drop down. But if you feel comfortable, then you're going to reach away from the chair, slowly letting your head drop down towards the floor, letting your armpits drop down towards the floor. The heart is dropping down towards the floor. Belly button is in, spine is neutral. And see if you can breathe in behind your lungs. We'll pause here for 2 more slow, deep breaths. And gently making our way up, coming into a comfortable neutral for yourself. So if you find yourself working in an office or you feel like you've got a lot of tension or you have any kind of sneeze, pee, or incontinence, you're going to want to do that quite often to open up the thoracic cavity and help your shoulders reduce tension. So it reduces that pressure of a standstill that pushes on the pelvis, creating a lot of pressure down in our bathroom sex organ. Coming into release our abdominal aorta. So we're going to release our whole stomach. Oftentimes we might find ourselves sort of hugging our stomach in or sucking it in, or maybe we're wearing tight clothes, which again, when we're trying to breathe and do things, it can create a lot of pressure down on our pelvic floor, constipation, and other really fun stuff. So we come into table and we allow our stomach to just balloon and rest, releasing the stomach and letting the organs and the stomach sag. It can feel really weird. Sometimes people have a strong emotional reaction, especially if your organs drop. But it's very, very healthy and it's very good for you. So I invite you to come into table, hands and knees, quadruped. And if your wrists are really uncomfortable, you actually have the chair handy that you could just put your arms on the chair. And again, you can do this seated if your knees and your wrists are unable to get comfortable here. Once you find yourself in table, I invite you to just allow your spine to relax. So you might let your head drop You might surrender the weight of your head. You may allow the pelvis to untuck. We're going to hold for at least a minute, maybe 2 minutes. Your pelvis is relaxed, your stomach is relaxed, your head is hanging. You may close your eyes and breathe in. And start to let around your belly button release and soften. We can slowly breathe in, allowing the belly button area to start to drop down towards the floor. Slowly breathing. You may notice if the stomach starts to suck up in. You may notice if the shoulders or head start to be engaged again. And simply relax the head. You can always shake the head no, letting the head just hang. Breathing in and releasing the belly. Take 5 more slow breaths. Simply noticing whenever the stomach starts to engage and become tight, letting it release, softening the belly. And gently coming back into child's pose or a neutral shape for you. You can rest your hips back. You may draw your hands under your forehead and relax into a neutral child's pose. Observing if you had any strong feelings, noticing if it was hard to release your stomach. And we just know that it's a practice. And we just observe without judgment. And then option to join in for 3 Brahmari humming exhales, inhaling through the nose to begin. Two more hums. Last one. And then slowly starting to press up. We want to draw the legs around the front and find a comfortable seat. You may choose to come up onto your bolster, or if you've got some folded towels. And if your legs interlaced is good, you can do that. And sometimes it's nice to just have straight legs and extend the legs open. We'll be making our way into the waiter to release tension in the upper body. So once you've got that comfortable seat, I invite you to surrender your chin down to your chest. Allow the weight of the head to come down. You may close your eyes, breathe in, and letting your head just hang forwards. And slowly roll the head over to the left shoulder. You may move your jaw around to find a good spot. And once you've got a pretty good spot, you can feel something being stretched. The right hand could stay resting, or if you feel up to it, the right hand starts to open up, palm faces up, elbows closed for the waiter, just as though we're holding a tray of food. We rotate the humerus bone open and then reach the elbow away, keeping the elbow bent. Which will open up the power line of one of the power lines of the upper body, allowing the electricity to get deeper into heal that upper body. So eyes can be open or closed. We'll pause here for at least a minute, allowing the area to get a good stretch open. You may observe if there's tension in the jaw, maybe the side of the throat and neck. How a long, slow, smooth breath may soften some of the tension. And then option for the left hand to reach up across for the right shoulder or chest area. And you may use your fingers to dig in to any spot that could feel tight and either gently or really digging in to release the tension. This is really great if you do computer work, if you find yourself with upper body tension. It's also really nice to help create a little bit more space for breathing. If you would like to avoid any shoulder issues, or if you have shoulder issues, to encourage the tissues to heal faster. And then slowly letting your head droop down to center. Head is hanging in center. Arms can drop down to the lap. We pause with the head hanging in center for an inhale. And gently, slowly rolling the head over to the right. We avoid any pain, electrical pain, shooting pain, any kind of pain. And move the jaw around and start to figure out a good spot for the side. If the arms are done and we want to rest, we place them in the lap. Otherwise, left arm can start to reach out as though we're holding a tray. And we're rotating the arm open to try to access deeper in that line, the electrical line. So you can always even rotate your arm back more to get deeper in the joint or the upper body. Elbow stays bent to isolate the major problem area that's usually the upper body, but you can reach the elbow away a lot and even start to get into stretching part of the nerves possibly. As long as there's no pain and it's just strong sensation, that's fine. And I always like to check my smile muscles here because I think tension from my shoulder comes right up to my mouth and makes me frown. So we can relax the corners of our mouth and our face muscles. Eyes can be open or closed. Slowly inhaling. And then if the right arm's available and you want to start to kind of press into the tension, it might make sense to use your finger pads or your hand to press into anything that could feel tight. I've even seen people kind of at the top of their head massaging. This can help reduce those pressure tension headaches people might get behind their head, at the back of the head. If you feel hunched over or you're suffering with a little bit of a curvature of the spine, this can help undo the tension pulling on our spine. And the self massage encourages more oxygen into the upper body, helping to build healthier, stronger tissues. And then slowly letting the arms droop to the lap, the head may roll down to center. Head is hanging in center. I'm going to invite you to draw your fingers to your forehead. Press into the forehead to draw the eyes up to the horizon and arms come down by the side. Option for two, sighing. Exhale, squeeze the shoulders tight up to the ears. Take a good deep breath. Let your shoulders drop down for a sigh. Let's do one more. And then making our way into the psoas release, we'll stretch open our chest. So the psoas muscle is on the back and it comes around the front and attaches to our legs. Oftentimes that can be tight, which will affect our shoulders and our pelvis. So releasing it is a good idea. Getting something for behind you to support you and possibly putting something so your head is a little bit higher if you feel really drawn back. So I know I like a bolster or a block under my support. And try to support between from the bra line up, so just under the shoulder blades. So we can come down onto an elbow. We get the support between our shoulder blades, behind our neck and our head. And if you lay down and you experience a lot of discomfort, you want to come up higher. So get more pillows. And if you feel okay and there's nothing really alarming about the shape for your body, straighten out your legs. Legs are pelvis width or a little bit close together. And notice if you're holding your ribs up or if your back is in a little bit of a back bend, you might even inhale, lift up your sternum towards the ceiling, lift your heart up for a back bend. Exhale, relax your spine down and start to let your spine turn off. Let's close our eyes, rest your arms out by the side, palms of the hands face up. And with the eyes closed, taking a long, slow breath in. Soft exhale. And giving yourself a few moments to make any adjustments. Sometimes we want to adjust our clothes, our hair, little tweaks to get a more comfortable in your space. Breathing down all the way to the belly, letting your hips relax down to the floor. We come into the chest with the palms of the hands faced up, trying to allow the back of the hands to stay on the floor. Inhale to open up the arms. It is known as floor angels. So just like we would do snow angels, we would lay down and we would open our arms into a T and reach our arms up and back. You can gently start to explore. Are you able to keep the back of the hands on the floor without forcing? As we inhale, reaching the arms higher and higher, the hands may start to lift up off the floor. That's very normal. And just noticing if the ribs are coming for the ride, you could stabilize your ribs, trying to get the tension out from the upper body instead of moving around it. And my shoulders love to become earrings and sort of float up. So you may like to stabilize your shoulders as well. An option to stretch your left arm, reach across the body with the right hand, and it's almost like you're going to grab under your armpit, part of your chest. And as you inhale the left arm back, Rotate the hand so the thumb is reaching to the floor. The baby finger might be reaching up to the ceiling. As you inhale the arm up, almost like a victory arm, you might start to notice tension on the front of the shoulder that comes along the front of the chest, the pecs. You can use your thumb to start to push out that tension. You may start to explore when you move your hand and you rotate your wrist or your arm bone, is there a special spot that you want to get out? Oftentimes, we may drag our shoulders forwards and backwards trying to get the tension out, but the fibers of the muscles actually run out the side of the body. So we want to pull the muscles to the side to lengthen and open up the tension in the area. So again, we for some reason humans always want to move around the tension. It's like we want to keep it for later. It's just an instinctual thing we do with our muscles, I guess. So it's nice to anchor them down and really press it out. So if you are doing the one side, how about we switch sides? Letting the right arm come out. The palm of the hand's facing the ceiling. The wrist is on the floor. Left hand can reach across to hold on to the elbow or the beginning of the top of the pec. And then rotate the hand so the thumb starts to reach back and the baby finger might be coming up. The arm is rotating. And as you inhale the elbow away from your heart and reach the arm up, you might start to feel the pec or part of the shoulder muscles. Okay. That arm bone is connected to the torso. It's one bone. And there are many, many muscles. And those muscles connect to our thoracic cavity, which is where our heart and our lungs are. Also, our neck and our spine. So, getting tension out can create more space for our heart and lungs. It can reduce the atrophy that happens to the upper body. And then, of course, tension in the shoulders, putting pressure on our pelvic floor. And a gentle massage, a gentle push into the tension can trigger a lot of positive change, a lot of longer lasting changes, melting away the fascia that builds up every night when we're sleeping. So we're kind of undoing years of buildup just with a deep tissue pressing in. How about we let our arms rest down and find a spot for your arms where it feels pretty good. Rest down, breathing in nice and slow. If you notice a pressure building in the small of your back, that is good. That means the psoas has been releasing tension. And to give the psoas more space to lengthen, I invite you to just scoot your bum down away from your bolster, giving more space for the lumbar spine and the muscles to release more tension. And coming into our hands, I invite you to bring your hands up into the air and start to circle the hands in the wrists. Fanning the fingers wide, stretching through the pads of the fingers, trying to get the palms of the hands to get a good stretch open. So the electrical line runs from the tips of the fingers across the upper body. So if you imagine a line going from your left hand across your body, through your shoulders, your lungs, your heart, your neck, all the way to the other shoulder, the other arm, the other hand. So the hands, we want to get the hands nice and open so there's no blockage or construction zones in the lines. It also just helps with general bone density of the upper body. And then we'll come into stretching the palms and the fingers of the hands. So I'm going to invite you to hug the left elbow into your chest and have the left hand facing up on the ceiling. It's almost like we're doing a half push-up with the left hand. So we're in a push-up arm position. The right hand's going to come across the body and push into the left hand so it's coming back. So usually what I do is I'll reach my hand away and I'll start to press into the pads or the fingers. And we're looking for some kind of stretch in the palm of the hand or the fingers. If you've got osteoarthritis, you're gentle. If you do have osteoarthritis or hand pain or tension, hand stretches are a nice thing to do one finger at a time. We won't do it tonight because it's very time consuming. But if you find yourself with a little bit of extra time and your hands are really hurting, you can always press one finger back at a time. And depending on what your occupation is, what your job is, or what your hobbies are, you'll notice that there's a lot of tension in some fingers and other fingers are pretty easy and relaxed. Oftentimes, computer workers and cell phone users, it's the peace fingers that have quite a bit of tension in them. Let's take a slow breath in and gently letting that hand go, switching sides. Right elbow hugs into the ribs to isolate, to open up the shoulder as well. Right hand is facing the ceiling. Reach across and gently push into the palm of the hand, the fingertips, and you can start to reach the fingers and the hand away a little bit to access the hand stretch, the wrist stretch, the fingers, whatever you're getting the opening of. Notice if the shoulders are becoming earrings. Chin is slightly down, neck is long, slowly inhaling. So when the electricity is blocked in our wrist, we may get carpal tunnel syndrome. So this is opening up some of those tunnels. We want to do both directions. So we can end with the other direction to really open up the power lines for all the electricity to be able to come and go as it pleases, fixing and healing all the issues that may come from computers, cell phones, and our modern world. And gently starting to bend into the right wrist. So the fingers are going to dangle down towards the floor, shining the wrist towards the ceiling. Left hand will come across and hold on to the outside of the right hand and start to try to stretch open your wrist. So often I don't feel anything unless I come right down to holding the tips of my fingers. And again, you can just hold the peace fingers, the pointy finger and the second finger, and pull them down towards your right elbow. So with a strong, steady pull, you may feel the forearm, the back of the wrist, the back of the hands, or maybe just the fingers getting a good stretch. Tension in our hands will pull on our neck and our shoulders. Even though it's quite far away, it's all connected. Slowly inhale. And letting it go. We want to get into the last left hand. Left hand is facing down towards the floor. Right hand reaches across for the outside of the left hand, the top, and sliding down towards your left fingers. We're going to start to gently open up the top of the wrist where your watch would go, or the top of the hand, or maybe reaching down for the peace fingers and just gently pulling them back towards your elbow. Oh, notice if the shoulders are becoming earrings or the jaw is locking tight. Can always sort of wiggle the nose, relax the jaw. Notice if you can slow down your breath still. So it only takes 15 seconds for a change. For a longer lasting change, obviously, the longer you do it, the more benefits you're going to get. At any time, if you feel pain or lots of fidgeting, that's your body letting you know that's enough. Let's take a slow breath in And gently letting it go. You can dangle your fingers. You may circle your wrists a few times. Arms rest down by the side. Taking a final last stretch before we come into the Shavasana. You may inhale your arms, stretch up and back, Superman arms. Stretch your arms, fingertips, shoulders could reach anywhere. Legs are long, reach all the way to your tippy toes. Take a good deep breath in. And then bend into your knees, feet to the floor. Use your arms to roll off your support onto the floor, resting on your side, cradling your head in your arms. Knees are bent. Push your support away and gently lay down onto your back for the final relaxation. This is where you can always drape your legs over your chair, especially if you have a tight back. Otherwise, you can use a bolster or pillows underneath your thighs or knees. Let your legs extend and flop out. Back is broad. Tuck the shoulders under the back. Chin is slightly down. Back of the head's on the floor. Resting your arms out by your side. Palms of the hands face up. Eyes may close. Letting go of the deep breathing. And just breathing easy. Letting your legs and your feet relax. Soft, gentle. The hips may broaden. Letting the weight of your back sink into the floor. Softening the shoulder. Relaxing the arms all the way down to the hands. Relaxing the hands. Relaxing the fingers. Relaxing. Releasing. Letting go. Relaxing every muscle in your face. Softening the corners of your eyes. Softening your jaw. Relaxing. Releasing. Letting go. Slowly starting to draw movements back to the feet and hands, wiggling the fingers and toes. You may circle the wrist, circle the ankle. Taking a deep inhale, reaching the arms above the head, stretch the whole body long, long, long. And slowly making your way onto your side, bending your knees, cradling your head in your arm. And using your arms to press up and find a comfortable seat. Whether you're going to be on your bolster or the floor, we want to be up with a neutral pelvis right up on our sit bones. Once you've got up on your sit bones, let's inhale the arms out and up to the ceiling. Palms of the hands will come together down in front of the heart, and you may close your eyes. Sitting up nice and tall and proud. Just taking a moment to acknowledge yourself for coming out and doing this class. Not always easy to do it online. Getting a little bit into the hands and neck, taking reverse prayer hand, opening the hands like a book, drawing the back of the hands together, intending the wrist to come together. This is where you will see how the hand tension may be pulling on the spine. Reach the thumbs to touch, if you can, the 90-degree angle from the thumb to the middle finger. Rotate the hands away from you. Keep the shoulders broad and the ears back, and sink the hands down towards the belly button. Oftentimes, people will start to collapse a lot. Please find the spot before you start to round. Notice your smile muscles in your jaw. We breathe down to the ribs. Option to keep the hands here. We'll get into the neck. Drop the chin down to the chest. Surrender the weight of the head down. Gently inhale to roll the head over to the right shoulder. Slowly exhaling the chin back down to center. Rolling the head over to the opposite side for an inhale. Exhaling to center. Let's do one more on either side, letting go of any rush. And when your chin arrives in center, you may release your hands, dangling your fingers, circling your wrist. Head comes back to neutral. And namaste to all my yogis. Thank you so much for coming out. So tonight we covered that the shoulders can displace, which means that they can be lifted or dragged forwards or backwards. Tension in the shoulder girdle when we're breathing might mean that the whole shoulder girdle is lifting. It might also mean that when we're trying to fill our lungs, if there's so much tension, the pressure goes down into the pelvic floor, creating a lot of sort of unnecessary pressure for those muscles. So we want to get the tension out by keeping the shoulder joint stable and moving the humerus. By doing that, we encourage a lot more oxygen to the upper body, which reduces our risk of diseases like cancer, and it helps things heal better and faster. What we did today, we didn't do lots of push-ups, but often when we do really deep work, you could feel quite sore later. We didn't do anything that would cause an injury. So if you're feeling like something's not right or really sore, just remember that this is deep work and that we're stirring up a lot of things and that being sore is very normal. And the homework is going to be to just like take a nice hot bath, soothe your body, do some really good self-soothing work. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.